Welcome to chapter 26 of Memoirs of a White Guy, the podcast where I clear my throat and talk about white guy shit. Essentially, I just wanted to see how long I could do that for before you guys turned the podcast off, but I pussied out of it, and my throat is actually now sorer than it was at the start. Like, clearing your throat that many times actually has a reverse effect, and it makes you have a sore throat. So, that's not a good idea. I'm thinking even if I had done 30 seconds of that, you all would have stopped listening anyway. I'd probably do about 20 seconds and be like, nah, I'm not listening to your shitty podcast, Luke, this week, and then just turn it off. That's what I'd do. But you can see, I think there's a way where I can see where people drop off, like listening to the podcast. It would have been very interesting to see. Actually, it'd be really, like to see where people dropped off. And it'd be really interesting to see if people dropped off after the fun fact, because they're just having too much fun. Like, I think that would happen. So, anyway, I'm going to start off with the fun fact, and then I'll put in the horn noise again. Sorry, I actually have a horn. I have a truck horn in my room, obviously. It's not a sound effect. So, I'll just do the fun fact. This one was sent in by Jay. Essentially, the fun fact's just where we all just sit down, have a breather, go, oh, I've had such a stressful day. I just could use a fun fact to tell my work colleagues. You can use these at dinner parties, at work, at the water cooler. Really great water cooler stuff, like telling your boss maybe, like on a Monday, like, how was your weekend? Oh, I had a drink with the boys. Hey, did you know? And then insert fun fact from Memoirs of a White Guy. Just a really great way to make friends. Here's another tip. Use the fun fact every week to make friends on public transport. All you've got to do is just approach someone on the train or a tram or a bus, tell them something about, forced child labour in Somalia or starvation or whatever the fun fact is that week, and I can guarantee that you will have that carriage all to yourself. So, you're welcome. But yeah, just really send in your success stories, actually. So what we all should be doing right now is, whilst having fun, whilst maybe cheering after I read the fact, fun fact, kind of, I assume that's what you all do wherever you listen, like at home or on the train or whatever you're doing. Pull out a notepad or pull out your phone and transcribe, like write the fun fact down, because it's a really good one this week. It was sent in by Jay. So Jay's providing the goods, and tell your friends and send in your success stories. Like, hey Luke, big fan of the podcast, just wanted to let you know that I met a new friend on the tram the other day. We bonded over our mutual interest for forced child labour in Indonesia, and now he's my best man at my wedding. So thanks for bringing us together. And I'll be like, hey guys, keep having fun, kind of thing. So that's really what the podcast should become. I think this fun fact is, it's not just the fun we have on the podcast, it's the fun that you can take to your real lives. I think that's what the real benefit of this segment is. So I'll just get on with it. This week's fun fact is sent in by Jay. So I thank you, Jay. He says, this is the fun fact. The dolphin that played Flipper committed suicide by refusing to breathe, because dolphins are voluntary breathers, and the dolphin didn't want to live anymore. Sound the horn of fun! So that was the fun fact of the week. Tell your friends, use it at the water cooler at work, tell your grandma, get your grandma to tell her friends down at the local bowls club, get her friends at the local bowls club, to tell their friends at the morgue when they, pass away, and then do a bit of research on that person's life and send it in as a fun fact. So yeah, that's the end of the fun fact. What I want to talk about this week, actually, this week was really fun. I started, I am joining Lewis Spears on his national tour. And the tour started this weekend, so it's Monday now. So over the weekend, we went to Geelong and Ballarat. We started off with the smaller regional shows in Victoria. It was great fun, man. Geelong and Ballarat were both awesome. But man, Geelong, the crowd was just up for it. I've never seen a crowd so ready to just laugh at some dick jokes. It was great. So I met a few of you guys who listen to the podcast there, so that was really cool. It's so obvious to just pick a podcast fan, like the people who listen to this podcast, because they come up to, they don't go like, "Hi Luke, I listen to your podcast." They come up to me and go, "Oh my god, the fat bird had a miscarriage," in front of like 20 other people, and everyone else is just staring at them like, why did he say the words fat bird and miscarriage in the same sentence to the guy who was just on stage? And it's very confusing for people who don't listen to the podcast. So if you listen to the podcast, come up to me, maybe not yell it across the room. "Hey Luke, something about fat birds." That's all I get. And also everyone's like, hey Luke, did you know birds can't get pregnant? Did you know birds can't get pregnant? That's all I've got during the week. Everyone's sending me messages, birds can't get pregnant. But I tried Googling it, right? Can birds get and then it said, can birds eat pretzels? And I clicked that instead. So I still don't know if birds can get pregnant, but they can eat pretzels. So that's a fun fact for you all. Not as fun as the flipper one, but still a good fact. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna Google it now. Can birds get pregnant? The first thing. Oh, I don't think they do get pregnant. How do birds conceive? Let's educate ourselves on how bigger birds make little birds. I'm not reading. This is boring. I need Urban Dictionary of do birds fuck? That's what I can't be bothered. Do birds get pregnant? Yes. Oh, the answer is yes and no. They get pregnant. Yeah, here's the thing. I think I just used the wrong terminology. It still is pregnant. I watched a pregnant bird, but it's not technically pregnant because it's an egg. But essentially they just fertilize the egg internally, which is what I meant. When the fat bird fell off the railing, I meant the egg probably would have cracked and therefore had a miscarriage. But everyone was like, "They can't get pregnant, idiot." People from Denmark messaging me hello, look. I don't know how to do what a Denmark. That is the worst attempt at European. Hello. Wait. Denmark. How do you speak Denmark? I don't know how to do European. Anyway, people from around the world messaging me going, "Birds don't get pregnant, idiot." And people coming up to me at a live show, after a live show, and everyone's taking photos and stuff. I'm taking, midway taking through a photo with some guy. He's like, "Hey man, can I get a photo?" I was like, "Of course." And then his friend was taking the photo. Just as it was smile, he's like, "Birds can't get pregnant," and just fucked the photo. And he's like, "Oh, can we get another one?" I'm like, well, yeah, maybe just don't grill me about my terminology that I use in the podcast. I don't research this shit. People think, I put, hours... Okay, I don't think anyone thinks I put hours of research into this podcast, but I think people think that I know what I'm talking about on this podcast. I don't know that shit. I just click record. I don't even know what episode we're up to half the time. I just guessed today that it was 26. I'm pretty sure last week was 25. Everyone's just grilling me fat birds can get pregnant. Who cares? It was funny. A bird had a miscarriage and I saw it. So, that's not that funny when you say it out loud, but point is, they do get pregnant, but the pregnant's not the term. I don't know what. I think the term is just they incubate eggs and then they lay the eggs like a chicken. No one goes, "There's a pregnant chicken," but you're like, "Oh, that chicken's about to hatch an egg." Anyway. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Lewis's tour. It was amazing. I just can't thank everyone enough who, knew, I was so surprised at how many people were there who knew my stuff and listened to the podcast, which was so cool, because I've never really had that, this is my first tour this year. I've never seen the people face to face who like my stuff and listen to my podcast, because I see a number on a screen. And when you see the people face to face, it kind of makes you really thankful and really appreciative of all you guys who listen to the stuff. So yeah, it's really cool, because the most I ever get is you guys messaging me going, "Hey man, I really like the stuff." But when you meet the people and shake their hand who like your stuff, there's nothing cooler than that. And that's why I'm so excited for the tour, because and also I hate those people. People always message me "Hey man, you're doing a meet and greet in Sydney after your show? You're doing a meet and greet?" My show is the meet and greet. I meet every single person who comes to my show after the show. I'm a comedian. That's what I do. I'm a stand-up comedian. And people watch the videos and go... Because I think there's a real culture, and it started from YouTube, of people having no skills, vloggers and stuff. They don't have a skill, so they just go, "Everyone, come to this park and marvel in my presence." And people do it. And I'm like, no, I want to perform I want to do what I do to you guys. I want to perform my show, and that's my skill. I want to do that to you. That's just a rip-off. Otherwise, like, I'm not doing anything. I don't get why people want to meet people and not do anything. Like, say if a band was like, oh, we're touring, but just doing a meet and greet. Like, we're not playing any shows. You'd be like, I want to see you play the music. So, I just don't get why people... I think some people don't know that I do stand-up comedy just because either don't listen to the podcast, they just watch my channel. But I feel like it's pretty obvious on my channel. I talk about it in my videos. So, people are pretty thick. But, like, I will never understand the whole YouTuber... Do a meet and greet. I get it all the time. Do a meet and greet. Like, dude, come to the... So I linked them to, like, the people... Okay, for example, a guy messaged me, hey man, I live in Sydney. I would love to meet you. I'm a really big fan of your stuff. Are you doing a meet and greet anytime soon? And I was like, hey man, I'm touring there in a couple of months. And I linked him, like, tickets to the mailing list. So I was like, you'll find out when the show's on first here. Tickets will be announced soon. And he was like, he said to me, I don't want to come to the show. I just want to meet you. Can I wait outside? Why would you want, like, the show's the best bit, man. I spent two years working on that, and if he likes my videos, it's way better than the videos. My onstage stuff is my funniest material by far. That's why I'm not going to do it in a video, because it's the best thing, and I want people to see that live. Like, seeing my live show is like, it does not compare to watching a video on YouTube. Like, what the hell, man? Anyway, so people are just thick. And I don't know where this started. Oh, I think it started me meeting people at Lewis's show. Okay, yeah, it keeps going back to that. But yeah, people, it was awesome meeting you guys. That's where it started. Yeah, so it was great to meet you all, and I'm really excited to hang out with you guys after the shows in Thingo. But the point is, there's a show. Like, I'm coming there to do the show. I'm just coming out there to hang out with you. It's like, I want to perform to you guys, and then meet you all afterwards and, like, you know, ask you how it was. And it's great to meet, the point is, it's really great to meet people who appreciate your stuff in person instead of seeing a number on a screen. That's what I was talking about. We got there eventually. I rounded that up, my little rant. I realized I was just ranting about people who really like my stuff and bother to message me, but I don't know, it just annoys me. I think the whole, it's not the person's fault, because people are so used to just other YouTubers just going, come and meet me. I'll be here. I'm happy to take photos, and, like, they don't do anything. It's like nightclub appearances. When people make, like, hey man, I'm doing a nightclub appearance. Come down to, like, Cloud9 or Anyway. We'll be there. And you're like, and clubs pay them because people come down just to meet them and do shots with them. It's like, I'm not a cool person to do shots with. Like, that's not. Anyway. I don't get the whole just wanting to marvel at someone's presence. Like, I've met people who are on TV and stuff, but I don't want to just meet them. I want to watch them. Say if they're a comedian, I want to watch them be a comedian, like, tell their jokes. If they're a musician, I want to watch them play music. I just don't want to meet. Anyway, this is me ranting about nothing, really. I'm being entitled, and I should shut up. So, classic white guy move. I hate it when people invest time in me and want to meet me because they're a big fan of my stuff, and I can't take a compliment because I'm a white guy. Guys can't take compliments, and guys also can't give compliments. Like, guys will be like, hey man, love your shit, also eat a dick at the end. I get so much. Guys are mean on Snapchat and stuff. All the girls, I've talked about this before, the girls are like, oh my god, Luke, you're the best. I really like your stuff. Your videos are so funny. Your Snapchat stories make me die. And the guys are like, haha, eat shit, bro. Nah, just JK, I like your shit. And you're like, just say I like your shit. I'm not going to be like, oh my god, this guy wants to suck my dick. He said he liked my video. Like, why guys think, like, they have to insult the other dude first before they give the compliment? Anyway, I'll never understand that. I'm kind of tired, and I have not put a great deal of preparation into this podcast just because Friday night was the Geelong show, so travelling all day Friday and setting up the show, and you know, it's very tiring. And then Friday night we drove straight after the show to Ballarat, so it was pretty late at night by the time we got to Ballarat, so I got like 5 hours sleep on Friday, and then we did another show Saturday night in Ballarat, which was really cool, and then drove home Sunday, and then I had another gig Sunday night, and I also did a gig on Thursday. So I gigged Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend, and so yeah, the show's coming along well. The stand-up's coming along very well, which is cool, and I've been really just working hard on trying to perfect this show, because really, it's like 90% done. Like, I look on a piece of paper and I've got a show, like I've got enough material, but now I'm just trying to like hone in and make each individual bit as funny as it could be, like perfect the wording of it, because the wording, people don't realize, if you word one thing another way, it goes from very unfunny to funny kind of thing. Like, just really play around with the wording of all the jokes. This is boring probably to people who aren't into stand-up, but yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, really just like fine-tune the show, because my shows start in 2 weeks. It's not this weekend, but the weekend after, I'll be in Newcastle, and I'll be doing my show for the first time. And last week, remember, I begged you all to come to Newcastle, and people bought tickets. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, I need to make an announcement. But I've still sold... Just getting out the announcement megaphone. Fuck all. Actually, no, that's not true now, because you guys did buy tickets during the week. But, look, that's not true, actually. That's a lie. But, look, it's really, no one does Newcastle in their first year. Like, so dumb. Like, people take 3, 4, 5 years to get to the smaller, non-capital cities on their shows. And I was like, yeah, I've got fans in Newcastle. Like, I do, clearly, because some of you guys bought tickets, but, you know, compared to the other states, I'm not freaking out about it anymore, though, which is cool. But if you're going to come to Newcastle, we'd love to have you there. It's going to be the first show of the tour, so I'm probably going to be doing, like more than my actual show. Like, I'll be doing, like, an hour and 10, maybe, like, just over an hour, because in Melbourne, I'll only be able to do 50 minutes. That's going to be the show, because that's part of the festival. It's just a 50-minute show. But, so, Newcastle, if you want to see just all the material, like some of the stuff that won't even make Melbourne, I think I've got another 20 minutes on top of that. It's going to be loose. It's going to be fun. Lewis is going to be opening. It's going to be great. It's just going to be a good night, and we can all hang out afterwards. But it's not a meet and greet. It's a stand-up show. So, yeah, it's going to be sick. So, my tour starts in 2 weeks, which is crazy. And I'm really, really happy about it, because people bought tickets. And I'm not going to be performing to empty chairs anymore. How exciting is that? Do you know how cool that is? Like, if you had told me like a year ago I'd be able to sell tickets in Newcastle, I'd be like, I highly doubt it. And yeah, that's still correct, because it's probably, no, I'm talking it down. It's going to be great, actually. I'm super excited about it. I cannot wait, because I've been working this material for 2 years. 2 years. Do you know how like long a process that is? To just be holding on to this material that I know is really good, and I just want to like tell people. It's like a lonely guy yelling in the street. He's like, I just want to talk to someone, like those schizophrenic people who just run down the street just rambling and yelling at people. They just want to talk to someone, and that's like me. I just want to tell people that I just want to show you guys what I've been working on, because I feel like I consider myself a stand-up comedian, and I do videos on the side. But obviously you guys just see the online content, so I guess it's confusing. It's a bit weird because it's my first tour, so it's still trying to get people to realize that I do comedy is hard, and all you guys obviously realize because you listen to me shit on about it every week. But yeah, the reason why I'm talking so much about stand-up is literally just because it's all I've done since last week. People go like, you always talk about stand-up too much. Yeah, it's all I do, man. Like, it's literally my job. Like, you're listening to a comedian's podcast. Like, I do talk about other shit. I'm sorry, I'm mad today. I don't know why I'm mad. I'm in a really good mood, and then I hit record. Maybe it was how fun the fact was. It just made me angry how much fun I was having. But what I wanted to talk about, this is another comedy thing. I haven't talked about it at all. I was going to talk about it last week. So last Monday, I've been doing an Australia-wide comedy competition called Raw Comedy. It's one of the biggest comedy competitions in the world, and it's nationwide. And I managed to make it, like, I think 500, 600 people enter in Victoria alone. Actually, I think just in Melbourne alone. And they have rural Pete's as well. And yeah, like 500, 600 people enter. And I managed to make it through the heat, which I was still just stoked with. And then I had the prelim final last week, and managed to make it through to the state final. So I'm down to like the last 10 or 12 people in the state, which is really cool. So I was really happy with that. I don't know why I wanted to talk about this in the podcast. Oh, yeah, the reason why is because it was so weird. This is going to sound very arrogant, actually. I just realized now the story is an arrogant story, but it's not really me saying how good I am. I was more just I made someone laugh so hard that she coughed up and then spilled her drink all over her throughout my set. She had to get up at the end of my set and go to the toilets to dry herself off and wipe all the drink off her. But she didn't want to leave halfway during my set because she was enjoying it so much. So essentially I got up there and it was a gig in front of like 150 people. It was really cool. Got up there and I just did my set and the first joke just went bang. It was one of the best gigs I've ever done in my whole life. And I had 5 minutes just to impress the judges or whatever. But really, I don't care about that shit. Like, I was like, you know what? So I think people take the wrong attitude with any type of competition. Like, people who go on the X Factor, people who go on any of those talent shows. And this was my first time ever being judged by a judge. So I'm like, you know what? I do this all the time. I do stand up 4 times a week. I'm just going to perform to the crowd. Like, all you got to do is get the crowd on side. Who gives a shit what the judges think? I was like, I don't care if I get through. I just want to have a sick gig. I'm going to make all these people laugh. And that's exactly what I went up there and did. And it worked for me because obviously the judges are just like normal people. They loved it too. So I think that's the mistake that some people make on like those talent shows. They think like Simon Cowell, like they're just trying to impress Simon Cowell. No, impress the 1,000 people in the theatre, you dumbass. Like then Simon will be impressed. Like that's what he's looking for. Like he's not like going, oh, I could make $1 million out of this guy who only I like. He's going to be like, oh, I'm going to put someone through who everyone likes, and they're gonna make it. So I went up in there and I was like, I don't care what the judges think about this shit. I'm gonna make up there and just make people laugh. And the first joke just went bang, like round of applause, awesome. And this one girl was just cackling harder than I've ever heard anyone doing it before. And honestly, I thought she was mocking me. Like the first 2 minutes of my set, I was like, this girl is just being mean. Like, there's no way what I'm saying is this funny. She's sarcastic, cackling at me. I'm like, it's real. It started to hurt my feelings. I was like, oh my god, I get it, okay? You mightn't like my jokes, but you don't have to, like, everyone else is really enjoying it. And then I realized that, no, that's just how she laughs. It was a real, like, like a full cackling old lady laugh. And then afterwards, she's coming to my show. Like, afterwards, she's like, oh, I have to see you again. Where are you performing? And I was like, oh, I'm at the comedy festival. Come see me then. And she was like, yes, I'm coming. And I think she bought a ticket that night. I was like, wow, I'm not that funny. But the point is, I was watching it and I was trying to perform and I was really trying to focus on my gig. But she was near the front and I could see her just coughing up. And she was gross. She was still drinking in between when I was setting up the jokes. Then she'd have the beer or whatever she was drinking in her mouth, and it would get to a punchline, and she'd go and like regurgitate up the beer back into her drink and all over herself. And I'm like, just don't drink for 5 minutes. If you're honestly finding this that funny, stop drinking. Like, I felt bad for her by the end. I was like, no one else is enjoying it this much. People are really enjoying it, but you are at another level. Stop drinking. And she kept drinking, kept spitting up on herself. And then by the end, she came up to me as I walked off stage. She had wet patches all down her dress and all over her legs and stuff. And she's like, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, have you never heard a joke before? You've clearly never listened to the fun fact, because that is way better. But look, I feel like this story is coming across as, look how funny I am. It's not. It was literally, what the fuck is wrong with someone? Would you, I don't know if that's just me, would you, if you were finding something that funny, why would you keep drinking? So stupid. I've had a slow week, and that was one of the coolest things that happened. I made someone laugh so hard. As a comedian, I've worked 2 years to make that happen. Someone laughed so hard that they just didn't care. And when a girl doesn't care as well, I have shit all over me, but I'd still rather sit and watch your set. That is like the biggest compliment ever. Anyway, so I made it through to the state final. It's in a few weeks, which I'm really excited about it. And I just wanted to tell you guys that, because I feel like I'm too self-deprecating. And I often get told that I'm too self-deprecating, like, you always talk yourself down. So you know what? I'm going to start being arrogant on this podcast. Look how funny I am, guys. made someone spill beer on him. Come see me at the comedy festival and I make me spill. Now I'm being a prick. But yeah, I just thought that was the coolest shit. That was definitely one of the funnest gigs I've ever done. Let's answer your questions. I think that's all actually, I want to talk about this. So on Ballarat on the weekend, they have this thing called White Night. It's in like lots of cities around the world. I think it's a global thing. It's essentially like an arts thing that goes from 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. all through the night, and they light up different cities and have different displays of culture and art, and it's just like a big kind of festival where people gather around, and there's food trucks, there's bands playing, there's different art galleries and exhibitions, and there's like holograms on all the buildings and stuff. I think most people would know what it is, but so Ballarat had their first, and Ballarat, for those who don't know, is like a rural town about 2 hours out of Melbourne in Australia, so, you know, there's not a very big population, but it was the first time they'd ever done it, and Lewis's show was the night of White Night, so after the show we went out to just check it out, because there's nothing else to do in Ballarat. So we're walking around there, and I realised very quickly that just, I cannot appreciate art. I just don't understand art. Like, there was different, like, you go into an alley and there's all these projectors, and there was a projection on a brick wall of a 50-year-old woman. You would have seen it if you saw my Snapchat story, doing interpretive art. Like, so just doing interpretive dance, like just miming and like being a fish. And it went for like, we stayed there watching it for 5 minutes, just going, how the fuck are people sitting here watching this? And people are douches, because like, I was looking at it going, what the fuck am I watching? Like, this makes no sense. This bitch is just rolling around on the floor, and I'm watching a projection of it in a back alley in Ballarat. And all these other people are sitting around going like, like pretending to appreciate it and pretending to understand what it is. I'm like, I know that you also are confused at when you're watching this, but so we just started, I just can't help myself, so we just started like copying her interpretive dance, like on the side, and then new people came, so we were just all interpretive dancing on the side, and I bet you they were like, oh my god, these people are part of the exhibit. They're copying what the projector's doing. Oh my god, how progressive and postmodern is this? No, we were just being dickheads taking the piss out of the projector, and people looking at us like, I see what they did there, I see what they did. And I was like, you've got to be, like, I just don't understand art people. Went in this gallery, and it was just like splotches of paint on a piece of paper, and it had a price tag on it for like $799. $800 for a kindergartner's shitty painting. I've seen better shit that I've done on my fridge when I was a kid growing up. Me and my brother put out better shit like that in finger painting class. Ours didn't go for $700 because we didn't put it in a douchey arts festival and made people give a shit about it. That's all you got to do. Put it in an impressive room and light it up and put a plaque next to it. Sells for $800. Like, I could have bought in a live domestic goat and put a milk crate on its head and then put a pen around it, and people would have stopped and been like, wow, how postmodern. This is just so progressive, and oh my god, it's really saying something about the dairy industry. It's chaining these poor goats into these pens, and it's making a stand. I'm like, it's just a goat with a shit hat. At the end of the day, I've bought in a goat and I've put a shit hat, which is a milk crate, on its head. And you guys would be like, I must have it. I must put it in my foyer. I'm like, dude, I could... And it's really hard. Like, at one point, I didn't realize I was standing on an exhibit because it was on the floor. Obviously, because that's art now, a floor. And I was walking around just taking photos and filming dumb Snapchats. And some guy's like, excuse me, he's standing on the exhibit. Look down, painted bricks. And I'm like, that's the floor. And he goes, yeah, it's the exhibit. I don't get art, man. Like, it's hard to tell the difference between the rubbish bin, like what's rubbish and what's considered art. Like, I put something in the bin, but was worried. Like, I had a piece of chewing gum, and I was like, I gotta get rid of this chewing gum. And I walked over to a bin, but then I was like, hesitated, because I was like, maybe this is part of the exhibit. Honestly, I have no idea at this point what's art, what's not. Like, there was a guy walking around with a giant dog, and it was like white and black, and I didn't know if it was it was up to, probably up to his hip, one of those giant mountain dogs. And I was like, I don't know if that's a dog or if that's a cow or if that's art. I At this point, I don't even know anymore. And like, there's one point had glow-in-the-dark spaghetti things hanging from the ceiling. And I'm like, that's just a shit rave. And you're calling it art. You've just made a shit nightclub and you're calling it art. Pretty much, I realized that I'm the least cultured person on planet Earth that night. Because I didn't appreciate anything. There was people walking around dressed as elephants on stilts. And everyone was taking photos and marveling at it. And I'm like, you're going to throw your back out doing that all night? Like, I just think of, like, this poor dude just like, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm just gonna walk around. Like, what about if someone came in and sweep their legs? I wanted to do it so bad, but I just felt so bad for the guy. He's probably been paid $15 an hour. Actually, he's an artist. He's been paid, like, 24 cents an hour. It's pretty much like a sweatshop arts festival to walk around, put his back out on these dresses. He's dressed as an elephant. How humiliating. I couldn't think of anything more humiliating than walking around the streets dressed as an elephant on stilts. And everyone's like, it's amazing. This is the best thing to ever come to Ballarat. You know what? Probably still is the best thing to ever come to Ballarat. It's like that or meth. So people are like, oh, well, just look at the guy dressed as an elephant. It was fun, though. Like, it was kind of like, I enjoyed it because, you know those things that are like so bad it's good? I was having fun just hating on everything. Like, this guy came past me dressed as a wizard with a fluoro lit up wizard's hat, but he was riding like a bike that was like all lit up and it had like wings on the side of the bike. Like, it was kind of like a small float in a parade, and he was riding it around, and he was like just a moving exhibit. Like, other people walking down the streets marveling at the art on the walls, and this guy's just like a moving art gallery. Well, not really, just a moving... Honestly, he probably wasn't even part of the festival. Probably some cracked out homeless guy who put wings on a bicycle and then was like, I'm going to dress like Merlin. And then just started riding around the streets. And I was like... And people like taking photos of him, and he's like become the center of attention. And I'm like, dude, that guy's probably like a carpenter or a butcher. But tonight he's like, fuck it, I'll just be a dickhead. And that's exactly what he did. And I was like, I just don't understand art. I'll never understand it. That's my rant over. I will just never understand art. But other than that, Ballarat, your city was great. Geelong, you were fantastic. This week, I'm not going to Hobart with Lewis this week if you're from Tasmania. I'm taking a week off to finish off my show, just because it needs to be done by the weekend after. So I'm probably going to go off the grid. I'll probably do a couple of videos and then go off the grid for about a week just before the show starts, because I just need to knuckle down and really make sure it's worth coming out of your houses for, which I think I know it will be. Who am I saying? It's literally, I'm so excited to perform it. I'm just the best. Aren't I good? So look at me talking myself up again. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So yeah, I'm probably going to go off the grid. I'll do a couple of open mic spots maybe this week. I'll see. And then I think it will be done. And Newcastle, you're up first, so get down. It's going to be loose. It's going to be fun. And yeah, then where are we going next on the tour? So it's weird because I'm doing Lewis's tour first, and then for a bit I go back to do my shows at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and then I go back on his tour, and then I go on my tour. So it's like really 3 or 4 months of solid touring, which it's cool. And that leads to the first question. I think the first question was about that. It's from Ben. Hey man, I love your videos and think that it's cool you do stand-up comedy on the side. See, that's what I mean. People think I do stand-up comedy and videos on the side, but that's cool. I have a question for the podcast. I saw you were touring with Lewis Spears and wanted to ask what that is like being on tour. Is it fun, and do you get sick of people you are traveling with? That's a good question. Yes, it's fun. It's pretty much my dream come true, man. Like, it's really, I've worked pretty hard to get where I am, but at the same time, it's still surreal that I'm touring with someone who I'm a big fan of, Lewis, and is also one of my best friends. So it's cool to tour with your best friends, and I'm good friends with all the crew. Like, we have a really good team around us, and we go state to state. And it runs like now we've done it a few times, so it's smoothly running now. And the show is still the best part of the day, though. Like, the traveling, no one likes sitting on a plane or sitting in a car and setting up for the show, doing sound check. The absolute funnest part is performing the show, then meeting all the people afterwards. But the whole process is just fun because it's like the excitement during the day of like, we're gonna do a show tonight, we're gonna smash it, this is gonna be cool. And then because really stand-up's what we love doing, and it also happens to be our jobs, which is just lucky for us, I guess. But sorry, had to have a drink. Yeah, it's great, man. And what's your second bit? Do you get sick of people you are traveling with? Not yet, anyway. I mean, I did it last year with Lewis, and nah, you don't, because we get along anyway. Like today, like we saw each other all weekend, and then we still spoke on the phone earlier, just because we were like, oh, what did you do last night? But just, I don't know, like when you're touring with your best friends, I think you get sick of people if you didn't like them. And I think that's a mistake often bands make. They get sick of each other. But we don't do it to the point where we're like 90 days in a row and we only see each other and we don't see our family, friends and, you know, girlfriends and stuff. So we don't really get sick of each other. And also if you do get sick of each other, because you are cooped up together and sometimes in a hotel room and you've discussed every conversation topic under the sun. So you just sit there in silence on your phone. And that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with just having alone time and just putting your headphones in and ignoring the shit out of each other. Because I think, yeah, you will get sick of each other. So, you know, if you kind of just do your own thing some of the day and then... But really, you're hanging out the whole time. And I think it would get a bit old if you were touring, like, non-stop for 4 months. You get a bit sick of each other. But essentially what we do is the shows are on the weekends. So from Thursday to Sunday, we're kind of doing stuff for the show, but then we go home. You know, we fly back home to Melbourne where we live during the week, and then we go to another few states over the next weekend. So we're not seeing each other constantly, to answer your question. The tour kind of runs over a few weekends, and we get a few days off during the week. So yeah, that's how touring works, and it is pretty much as fun as it looks and as fun as you think it would be. It's pretty surreal that I have the opportunity to be able to tour twice this year. I get to do Lewis's tour, which is like theatres around Australia and stuff, which is crazy, playing to an audience that big. And then I get to do my very first tour, which is, obviously it's my first year, so it's a downscaled version of that, but it's so much cooler doing your own show when the people are there for you. And I haven't experienced that yet, but I know it's going to be great because just all the feedback I've had from you guys about the shows and about the thing. And I'm really sorry that this podcast has been all about stand-up. But I promise next week won't be. Next week I'll talk about other shit. That's all I've been doing this week. So this is a weird question that's not stand-up related. And I'm still confused at this email. So if you guys want to just help decipher it for me, that'd be great. Luke, ... Already, I feel like I've done something wrong. And it's already confusing as shit. Because, like, who starts off with Luke? It's Luke in capital letters. So it's like, Luke! And then ... So just a bit of silence. So I'll read it how he probably wants it to be said. Luke! Started listening to your podcast, and I must say, I'm pretty ducking disappointed. Was sitting on the shitter listening to your first one, The Bachelor. What? Maybe you're just taking a pretty disappointing shit. Don't take it out on me, okay? That's probably why you were disappointed. I was listening to your first one, The Bachelor, when the shitstorm started. What shitstorm? I have no idea. Like, you do get that I don't remember. I didn't even know what I said last week. I'm pretty sure I just trashed out Red Rooster for 15 minutes and then talked about Justin Bieber pissing himself. That's all I remember from last week, okay? I'm not going to remember what I said 25 weeks ago. So that's when the shitstorm started. I'm Danish, and by the way, we're called Danish. So I would love it if you could apologize in your next vid and trash talk the Swedes. They're all inbred pieces of shit anyways. Actually, just trash talk every northern country except Denmark. They're all bastards. Keep up the good work from Danish guy number 1. Hang on, I think we need the megaphone for this. I don't understand what you mean by any of that. What the fuck? I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about? Like, in the first episode, what did I say about Danish people? Did I say something about Denmark? What did I say? I probably didn't slur off an entire country in the first episode. Maybe I did. I don't know. Well, I don't know. What's your problem? And also, What's wrong with Swedish people? I don't understand that either. I've met Swedish people before and they're lovely. Why are they all inbred pieces of shit? Trash talk every northern country except Denmark. What a biased thing to say. It's because you're from Denmark. What? Have you ever thought that if all the northern countries are pieces of shit, Denmark is also a piece of shit? Your logic is... You're just blind. What are you talking... I'm so confused. If anyone knows what he means by... what am I supposed to be apologizing about? He said, I'm Danish, and by the way, we're called Danish, so I'd love it if you could apologize. What do you mean? If anyone knows what that means or remembers the first episode better than I do, please email me at... not W, that's my website. luke.kidgell@gmail.com. Send me an email, or this dude, just message me what you're talking about. I'm just confused, so I'm going to move on. So if anyone wants to help decipher why that guy's so angry at Swedish people and me, that would be fantastic. This is the last question. Also, please, I'm out of questions, so send in questions at my Facebook page during the week, or luke.kidgell@gmail.com, and yeah, and I won't talk about stand-up if you ask me shit that's not stand-up related, so that would be great. Need more questions. This one's from... this is an update on the anonymous person last week. It was more of a serious question about his advice for his cancelling, and I said, send an update, man, let me know how it goes, and he did send me an update. So he said, thanks for answering my question. I've actually got an update. I've stopped cancelling. In fact, that happened today. There wasn't any reason why I'm stopping cancelling. It's just I feel a lot happier now through making new friends, getting more positive people around me. I've been getting into comedy, which has really helped me, and I hope this is a good follow-up. Probably not what you wanted, but thanks for the advice. No, it's a great follow-up, man. That's the best news possible. Yeah, I couldn't be happier for you, man. That's great. You've found a few friends, because I think, yeah, people are being dicks to you about going and cancelling and stuff. And that was my advice, I think, was, don't hang out with those people. So that's great. You found new friends, and you seem like a really nice guy. So, and also, that's so cool that getting into comedy has helped you. I hope this podcast... oh, you know what? Maybe he got some new friends by telling them the fun fact. And it's a real friend maker. So tell your friends about how the flipper committed after the shoot. That's a real friend maker. But no, that's really cool, man. So you're no longer cancelling and everything worked out. Look at me doing wonders. I mean, he did that without my advice anyway. But look at me pretending to have some part in this brilliant end to this story. So awesome, man. Thanks for listening to the podcast. And I'm really glad comedy has been helping you through a tough time in your life. That's the coolest shit as a comedian. And it's not, even if you don't like... You know what I mean? Obviously, you do like my comedy because you listen to the podcast, but any comedy, that's great because I'm a massive comedy fan myself, and I think it can help you just because it can make you look at things differently, whether it's grocery shopping or like your whole way you look at your life. I just think it makes you think and it amuses you while you do so, which is why I think comedy is such a great thing. In general. So, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. That's the end. Sorry this week was mainly about stand-up, but it's literally all I've done since last week, so that's why. This week next week will be completely different because I'm actually doing shit this week. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And sending questions, because I'm out of question, at luke.kidgell@gmail.com. Keep buying tickets to the Melbourne shows, which is really cool. And yeah, I'm just excited to get this year on the road. I think it's going to be a massive year for me. And it's all happening now. Actually, before I go, all the t-shirts for the shows came today. I'll be doing a thing on my Snapchat in a few minutes when I finish this. And all my business cards came. The posters are in the mail coming soon for the show. So I'm really happy with how the t-shirt looked. I spent like a bullshit amount of money getting good quality t-shirts. So I really hope people buy them. Because I'm so sick of... Whenever you go see a band, they sell shitty merch, like it doesn't wash properly, and I'd rather just buy a t-shirt that I could actually wear. Like I've got a little "You Don't Owe Me" logo just on the pocket position, and of just like a normal t-shirt. And I think I actually wear mine in public, and people, you know what I mean? I'd rather just buy offer a shirt for people to buy that you could just wear. Like, you know those band shirts where there's a picture of the band's faces on the front and the tour dates are on the back? How often do you see people wearing those in public? Very rarely. So I'd rather just get good quality shirts that,
you are comfortable, you'd like to wear, but I just pay a bit extra for it and, you know, get a proper artist to do the design, which I did. So it's more of an expensive endeavor to me, but in the end of the day, better for you guys and also better for me because I wear around my shirts because I'm just poor and I wear around my shirts. So yeah, you can get one of those at the show or you can pre-order it online. I'd highly recommend if you're planning on getting a shirt to pre-order one when you're booking a ticket, just so you guarantee your size because it's very limited, just because I didn't buy that many because it's my first year. So sizes are very limited, and same with the posters. So pre-order that shit if you want to guarantee your size. Otherwise, we'll be selling all the shit at the shows. And for those people going, can I just get a shirt online? Maybe, if there's leftovers, which I don't, there might be some, I don't know, but maybe not in your right size. I'll be selling leftovers on my website after the tour, but otherwise just selling the shirts at my shows. So yeah, that's it. And thank you very much for listening. I'll see you all next week. Hit the dab on the way out, Luke. Boom. What a shit way to end the podcast. Hit the dab. This isn't... Not only would that be a shit way to end the video, but what a terrible way to end an audio thing. Hit the dab. Go get some fucking respect for yourself, Luke. That's what I'm going to do this week. Sit down and have a damn good look at myself. What was that? Hit the dab, you piece of shit. What a white... You know what? That's the perfect way to end Memoirs of a White Guy. Just a white guy going, yeah, here's a meme from 8 months ago. Oh, boom, hit the dab. I just dabbed when I did that. Again, have to explain every time I do it because it's an audio thing. Oh, what an idiot. What a terrible way to end chapter 26 of Memoirs of a White Guy. Guys, I'll see you next week and I'll see you at the shows.